To be or not to bop? That is the question. What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of To Be or Not to Bop. And today we're going to dive into one of the great tenor saxophonists of all time, one of my all-time favorite saxophonists, musicians, composers. How about a hand for the incredible Hank Mobley. Hank Mobley was sometimes referred to as the middleweight champion of the tenor saxophone. He came up in a time in the late bebop, early hard bop era where we had some true giants on the instrument. We had none other than the great Sonny Rollins and the great John Coltrane, to name a few. So at times, maybe people weren't necessarily recognizing the genius of the great Hank Mobley. Now, that's not to say he wasn't recognized by his peers and by those who really know. Those who knew, they knew. Hank Mobley played with everyone. He was a jazz messenger with Art Blakey. He worked with Horace Silver's band. He worked with the great Max Roach. He even worked with the great Miles Davis. He replaced John Coltrane around 1961 before Wayne Shorter came in the band. So the greats of this music really understood who Hank Mobley was. Well, Hank Mobley, although respected by the giants of the music, didn't sometimes get quite the acclaim he deserved. And with that being said, we'll even set a tone. I think we talked about this in our Betty Carter episode, the book 3 Wishes. Great book if you haven't read it. It lists some of the 3 wishes of the great jazz musicians. So for Hank Mobley, let's see what his 3 wishes were. Wish number 1. Money, money, money. That's just one, so it's maybe more than, but money 3 times. All right, number 2. Somewhere to play where people aren't just comparing you to someone else. Where they have a brochure on the table telling you all about the musician. How about that? And number 3. Somewhere to play, not a cellar. A place with dressing rooms and no rinky-dink piano. A man can't take a solo on. Or the kind of acoustics when a drummer hits a sound, it keeps on ringing for an hour and afterwards. All right. I think that tells you a lot about the great Hank Mobley. So he's from Newark. He was born in Georgia, but he is from Newark, one of the greats of the hard bop era. And today we're going to focus on this record here entitled Hank. Sort of a blowing session. What we mean by blowing session, I think when you have these blowing sessions, you're hearing musicians just be free in a setting where they didn't necessarily have to worry too much about reading new music. They were playing songs that they knew, a bit more relaxed, a little bit more open, a little bit more free. So this is one of those sessions, and this is recorded at the great Gelder Studio. Shout out to Gelder Studio, the great Don Sickler and Maureen Sickler, keeping that place alive. I've been fortunate enough to record there. So much great music recorded in that place. This is one of those records. Now, in every episode, if possible, I like to find clips to where you can hear these musicians talking about their careers, their music, whatever. But I don't think there are any where we hear Hank Mobley really speaking about the music. If you know of some, please drop it in the comments. But there are a few shots of just him, like video footage of him. And at one point, there really wasn't much. So let's show a couple of those clips. See, this video was posted about 4 years ago. I nearly fell out my chair when I first saw this because I had never seen live footage of Hank. New York City, 1967. Walter Davis Jr. There he is. Smooth. Just like his playing. Simple, but effective. The great Hank Mobley. That looks like the lower, yeah, East Village. Yeah, there he is. Hank, 1967. Here he goes. Wow, Jazz House Montmartre in Copenhagen. Unbelievable. I played at that place. Look at Hank. Shout out to Corey Weeds, Cello Live, for sharing this video. Beautiful. So you can find that on YouTube. Make sure you check it out. Some rare footage of Hank Mobley. Actually, there's some really cool candid, you really don't see videos like this much. There's some candid shots of him just hanging out with Bobby Timmons, which is perfect because Bobby's on this record, and hanging out with the Baroness. Another nice little synergy there, the writer of the Three Wishes book. And also hanging out with Monk. Wow, heavy hang, as they say.
Now this, I'd rather have this. This is more substantial, that's more universal.
See, we hear his voice.
I'd rather that. Yeah, you know what, you should rather have this. Are you kidding?
See, people always ask me why I wear a pinky ring. This is it. You see the cats just hanging talking about pinky rings. How cool is that? Hank said, I want something substantial.
This is more substantial, that's more universal and whatnot, you know, that's I'd rather that.
Yeah, you know what, you should...
Cool, even the way he talks is laid back, just like his style, the way he play. Look at Nika and Bobby. Amazing, amazing footage. All right, so without further ado, let's dive into this music. I love this record so much. Whenever I have my own band, 9 times out of 10, I play one of these tunes, especially in the earlier years. We're gonna start with the first track. This is called Fit for a Hanker. Hank writes 2 originals on this one. This is one of them. All right, here we go. All right, nice pedal point intro. All right, y'all already know Philly Joe Jones is on this record. Y'all already know how I feel about Philly. Beautiful bridge on there. A la Charlie Parker, the composition has a written melody in the A sections, and the bridge is just some blowing, a vehicle for Hank to show that beautiful, cool, laid-back, Lester Young, Charlie Parker rooted style of his. Let's go back. I love the way he plays the bridge. All right, Donald Byrd, you already know. Beautiful, long phrases, signature Donald Byrd, 8th notes right in the pocket, long lines. So let's continue on. This little theme right here, bop, bop, ba-da, bat, ba. They do it every time. All right, the one thing about this record, 2 original tracks, the rest are standards, pretty simply laid out. Like I said, a blow-in session, everyone is free and really getting into their vibe in their bag, just blowing. But the one thing about this record, the feel is incredible. It's so in the pocket, and the band is kind of laying back, they're kind of ahead of the beat. Where everyone is playing on the beat is spectacular. So again, Philly Joe Jones on the drums, we've talked about him a lot. Another thing we have on this recording are 2 musicians we haven't talked about much on our show. The great Wilbur Ware from Chicago and the great Bobby Timmons on the piano. Now, a lot of the times we know Bobby Timmons from Moanin', and we know him as being the soul jazz pianist, but he is a true and true bebopper coming out of Bud Powell. And one of the things I love about this record is Bobby Timmons is on it and he's in pure bebop mode. There aren't really like any soul or gospel type of tunes on this record. He's just straight in bebop. And when we think about that from a piano standpoint, just beautiful bounce, great comping. Here we go. Oh, Wilbur Ware, man. Philly. Here comes that theme again. Bop, bop, yeah, hey. I love this Donald Byrd line right here. You know, I was talking to the great Charles McPherson a couple weeks ago, and we were just talking about bebop music and the roots of it all. He said a thing that has just been in my head for days. I think about it every day because it's so personal to me. One of the ways he described it, he talked about how bebop is the continuation of classical music, of the inventions of Bach and all those great composers, but with the rhythm of the hood. That's what I'm talking about right there. And that's why I love hard bop and bebop, because it just sounds like my neighborhood. It sounds like Harlem. It sounds like the Bronx to me. And on this record, that is true and true all the way. There's just a certain grittiness on this one. Let's dive back in. All right. I don't think I mentioned who plays alto on this. See if you can guess. Whenever I play this for people, they make a ton of guesses and they think it's someone else, but it's... All right, so this is Chicago's own, the great John Jenkins on the album. Yep, Bobby Timmons. I'm all over the place. Everything's happening. Right here. Yeah, so John Jenkins, clearly in the lineage of Charlie Parker, where you take Charlie Parker's style but come up with your own thing. You know, so this I like to call this is the Chicago style Charlie Parker. Two Chicago musicians on this record, Wilbur Ware and John Jenkins. Oh, incredible. All right, let's hear Bobby Timmons a little bit. Bebop Bobby. Just great lines. Yep, you know you had to play some blues in there. All right, so we had first solo, Donald Byrd, second solo, John Jenkins, and then we went to a piano solo. So I bet you're wondering, where's Hank? This is his tune, fit for a hanker. Where's Hank? All right, so we're gonna jump ahead a little bit. I really love the arrangement of this tune. So they're gonna go into this little shout chorus section. Here it comes right about now. Let's go, let's go. Highlighting the bass solo in between the shout. Wilbur Ware. All right, here's Hank. Okay, I'm gonna stop it real quick. Before we get into this Hank solo, whenever you see me have one of these moments where I'm just like, you know this solo's serious. All right, lyricism, lines, the melodic content, the pocket. It just has a singing quality to it. Let's check out this incredible solo. And also, again, with the arrangement here, he didn't solo first. Usually in a song, the bass solo and the shout choruses is at the very end. But what I love about this arrangement, he puts the bass solo and the shout chorus, and then he takes his chorus. To me, the placement of his solo in this song is brilliant. All right, here it is. Lyricism. Hank does not miss a chord change, ever. Oh my God. And Hank, you know, for me, Hank is one of these musicians where when I first heard him, I felt like I knew him. I felt like I had been listening to him all my life. Shout out to one of my good friends and great tenor saxophonist, Matt Garrison. He exposed me to Hank Mobley on the record Live at Cafe Bohemia with Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. So that's the one with KD and Hank. When I first heard that, I was in. So shout out to my boy Matt. Beautiful. Hank takes his solo right before the head out. Unbelievable. Sounds like a very simple thing, but it's extremely effective. All right, they're gonna give Joe, Philly Joe, the bridge out. Fit for a hanker, Hank Mobley. All right, so this next track is one of the standards on the record, not a Hank Mobley original. This is Cole Porter's Easy to Love. Now, a lot of times, we've talked about it in previous episodes, how the bebop musicians and these musicians would write contrafacts, so different melodies to go over these classic standards. That's not quite what's happening right here. And I wonder if some of the thinking was in mind. See, the thing was, if you wrote a contrafact, then you got the royalties of the song, you know, even though it was written over a previous set of chord changes. That's not quite what happens here. All they do is play a small snippet of the melody and then they go straight into the blowing. So this is what I talked about in terms of what makes this record so special to me. It's just a nice blowing session. Everyone can come in and play some songs that they know and just let loose and be free. So this one, to me, on this record, I think they're really getting their rocks off on this one. So here's Easy to Love. Here we go. And some first on this one. Perfect chorus. You go back and listen to this. Perfect. Perfect lines, perfect time, right in the pocket, beautifully spelling out these changes. We know this about Hank, you know, but this is, it can't be stated enough, the pure genius. All right, let's check out this next chorus. It's that little section of the melody in this solo. Billy's right there with him. All right. Now, I have to sit up in my chair because it's about to get real. Donald Byrd's coming in, and like, in this first chorus, he ain't warming up. The gloves are off as soon as he steps in. All right, now this line right here. This is a long phrase. This is a badass phrase. All right, let's see how many bars this phrase. Right here. Hey, look him up, Billy. Right here. This is it right here. Donald Byrd. Whew. All right, let's check out John Jenkins now. He comes out firing on this too. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, you know, you got a record date. At this time, these guys were playing so much. They were playing much longer gigs than we play now. Long sets into like 2, 3 in the morning. And then they would get up and do recording sessions and do it all over again. They were playing so much. So you imagine you come into Gelder Studio one day and you get to just do a session where you can just play some tunes, you know. And we can definitely feel that energy on this record. Particularly on this track, they are just getting into it. All right, let's check out John Jenkins now. Beautiful phrasing. I love how he uses space in this solo. Yeah. The space is golden. Ah, da 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 da. Beautiful little. See that rhythm section? They're just right there all the time. He plays that phrase a lot. That's Byrd. Incredible, John Jenkins. So there we have it. We have those 3 horn players who clearly know this tune. They're clearly from the jump getting right into it on this one. So this is, you know, like I said, on a blowing session, you're going to definitely play some tunes that you feel comfortable and free on. And that's one of the great things about this particular track. Easy to love. All right, let's go on to the next. All right, so this last track from this incredible record that we're going to feature is my favorite on here. Did I say Fit for a Hanker was my favorite? I lied. It's this one. This one is called High Groove, Low Feedback. And let's hope you never go through that. You don't want to be on a gig and you're grooving high, but there's no feedback. Maybe that's what this song is about. Who knows? But let's check this one out. For me, this particular track really highlights the rhythm section, but also This is probably one of my favorite bass recordings in jazz. Like the way Wilbur Ware plays on this particular track is so personal, so inventive. I mean, I can't believe some of the things he's doing. We'll dig into it. Here we go. High groove, low feedback. Just check out Philly Joe and Wilbur on this. Bing, boom, bing. Right? So when we hear that melody there, I believe Hank is very similar to Duke Ellington, where I feel like when he writes a composition, he's writing for the band members. And on this particular track, I feel like he knew he had Wilbur Ware on this, and he also knew he had Philly Joe Jones. And even in that first A section, you hear that this song is a perfect vehicle for what they do best and the way they play time. The horns are just playing some little hits, essentially. It's almost like a big band track. Right here. Blah, blah, blah. Digga, 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 boom. Drop. From jump. So right as we go into Hank Mobley's solo, check out, I mean, Hank's playing some beautiful stuff, but check out just check out this bass line, just to start, by Wilbur Ware. Going up. Listen to that feel. Philly. Hank really reminds me of Lester Young on this, just the way he's playing on the beat. The time on this track is so elastic. To me, they sound like they're gliding on this one. And this is how I hear it. I promise you I'm not high. This is just what it is. This is the way it feels. Beautiful laid back phrasing. But then when he puts the double time in there, that's just to let you know, oh, I'm still right here. He'll lay back. So that's that masterful phrasing thing where even though you're laying back, nope. Don't get it twisted. Still right there with the time. All right, check out Wilbur right here. What? Let him know, Hank. We are the. Unbelievable phrasing. That flow on this. All right, let's go to Donald Byrd solo. Look it up, Philly. Double time. Here, roll up there. All right, check out Wilbur right here. You heard that bass part? Let's go back on that. Such an avant guard line in the middle of there. All right, check out Wilbur Ware. Ding, ding, ding. Sweep up, sweep up. Yeah, the groove on this record. I remember when I first tried to play this with some cats, and I had a really great band. I had David Wong in the band, Aaron Kimmel on the drums, and a late pianist who not many of you know. His name was John Lefkowski, rest in peace to him. And this band could play. But when we would get together and just listen to this track, we would all just be like, how are they doing that? How are they playing time like this? It's unbelievable. All right, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit to John Jenkins' solo. You know I love Donald Byrd, and I don't usually jump ahead on a trumpet solo, but John Jenkins is doing some pretty incredible stuff on this one. And we need to know more about John Jenkins. So this, if I'm not mistaken, you can let me know in the comments. This is a version of The Lady is the Tramp. This is what this song is based on. Oh. Byrd. The space and the phrasing of this solo. Yep. See, and the thing about this rhythm section, and this is something I experienced when I got to play with Barry Harris, he's not waiting for me. He's doing his thing, but if I do something that sends off a light bulb, he's gonna jump right on it. And then he'll go back to just grooving with the rhythm section. And that's something you hear a lot on this record through these soloists. They let the soloists do their thing, and they get in and they interject from time to time. Stop. Stop. The start and stops of this solo are crazy. And that's a beautiful thing about the style of this solo. He's repeating a few phrases over and over again, but where he places them on the beat, it makes it fresh, you know? Like that phrase, he'll play that a bunch, but he'll go, you know? So it's really all about the rhythm and how you put these things together. There's that phrase again. See, there you go. He quotes the melody. Da 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 do dee da. Lady's the Tramp. Playing the blues. So if you're not hip to John Jenkins, allow me to introduce you to the great John Jenkins of Chicago, alto saxophone master. High groove, low feedback by the great Hank Mobley. So we hope you enjoyed this episode of To Be or Not to Bop. We hope you enjoyed Hank, the 1957 Blue Note side by the great Hank Mobley. Make sure you check it out on your own. You know, we're talking and starting and stopping, but we want you to go out and check these records out and go down that rabbit hole, all right? So much great music on this. We heard two of Hank's originals. We heard the standard Easy to Love, but there's a few more great ones on this one. So make sure you go to check it out. And please remember to like and subscribe. We'll see you soon. Peace. To be or not to bop? That is the question.